This is BS with Joe. News, culture, and crazy, one blunt conversation at a time. Welcome back to BS with Joe and Brad. Today we're tackling a subject that a lot of people are too scared to talk about. It's getting harder to ignore. Immigrant groups in America who refuse to assimilate, and in some cases openly push to replace our constitutional framework with religious law, specifically Sharia law.
And before anyone twists this into something it's not, let's be clear. This isn't about race. This isn't about hating anyone's culture. This is about protecting the freedoms that make America unique, the freedoms that immigrants historically came here to gain and not disregard.
Back in the Ellis Island days, people showed up for opportunity. They didn't come to turn America into a copy of their homeland. They came for a fresh start. And yes, they brought their food, their music, their heritage, and that's what made the melting pot so damn rich.
Exactly. Italian flags, Irish flags, Union Jacks, you still see it in the neighborhoods today. But one thing you notice is that the flag that flies higher than all those is the Stars and Stripes. Pride in your roots is one thing. Trying to bend America into something it's not, that's a whole different game.
Let's start in Dearborn. About 55% of the population there is Arabic. With that, you'd expect a healthy mix of culture, good food, and community pride. Instead, we're watching open tension between longtime residents and political leaders who are openly siding with separatism.
You're talking about the mayor.
In a city council meeting, a Christian resident stood up to object to a street being named after a man who openly encouraged Muslims to fight everywhere, even in Michigan, with knives, with guns, with planes. The mayor didn't address the concern. Instead, he turned on the resident and said, and I'm quoting, "Although you live here, I want you to know, as mayor, you are not welcome here. The day you move out, it will be the day I launch a parade."
Yeah, once he's no longer mayor, we should have a parade. That's not leadership, that's Americophobia. A man was reading direct quotes. You can't tell citizens that you're unwelcome from being legitimate concerns about terrorism-linked rhetoric.
Dearborn mosques started broadcasting the call to prayer on outdoor loudspeakers at 5:30 a.m. every day. Residents cited the noise ordinance, which bans amplified sound between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. And they filed complaints. Police even went so far as to remove the knobs from some of the mosque speakers because they kept violating limits. And yet, the calls still blare.
So here's the reality. When in the minority, they demand freedom because it fits the values. But once they become the majority, they rewrite the rules to fit their values, not their coexistence. That's dominance.
Right. Jump to Minneapolis. The Somali community there is huge, and many are hardworking folks.
Wow.
But it's also become what locals call Little Mogadishu. Reports of gang wars, political blocs voting in lockstep, and pressure campaigns against critics. You've got a sitting member of Congress, Ilhan Omar, being the most famous, who openly side with foreign interests over American ones.
And let's be clear, assimilation isn't the enemy. Somali restaurants, markets, cultural pride, fine. But when you have an enclave where English isn't spoken and neighborhoods operate more like Sharia norms than American law, you've got parallel systems forming. That's dangerous.
Right. And now Texas. A growing Muslim development is being pitched as exclusive, intended to limit residency to Muslims only. That's not just un-American, it's unconstitutional. We don't allow gated communities that say Christians only or Jews only. Why should this be any different?
Because it's not about faith anymore. It's about sovereignty. Build enough private enclaves, refuse to integrate, and suddenly you've got neighborhoods.
Let's contrast that. I spoke with a Haitian coworker about all this. His complaint? His kids are assimilating too much. They're losing Creole at home. They prefer English. They act more American than Haitian.
That's the pull of the melting pot. That's what used to scare old Italian and Polish parents too. Their kids wanted hamburgers instead of pasta, baseball instead of Sunday Mass. That's normal. That's America. That's the American story.
Compare that to Dearborn, the mayor cheering for separatism. One family's problem is too much assimilation. Another community's problem is no assimilation at all. That's the line we've got to defend.
Yeah, and listen, nobody says you couldn't bring grandma's recipe. I want to taste your baklava. Taste her baklava. And your tamales, your lasagna. That's the fun part about the melting pot.
Hell, Italian Americans didn't cry cultural appropriation when the rest of us fell in love with pasta. They just told us we were cooking it wrong.
But now we're making jokes or questioning the mosque loudspeakers at 5:30 a.m. And
Certainly
you're labeled a Islamophobe. That's not humor, that's intimidation.
And here's where we bring it home. This isn't just noise complaints or flag waving. Muslim activists in Dearborn and elsewhere openly say they'd welcome replacing the Constitution with Sharia law. Don't take my word for it. They've said it on camera.
And the 14th Amendment protects us now. What happens when bleeding heart politicians bend the knee, chip away at the First Amendment, hand freedoms over to avoid offensive people? That's when the Constitution starts taking a backseat to religious law. But the Constitution was written based off of Christianity or Christian beliefs.
It protects religious freedom.
Protects religious freedom.
You can have your religion, just don't try to impose anything on anybody else.
Yeah.
That's the heart of the podcast today. Protect our freedoms. Keep our elected officials accountable. Immigrants who come here for opportunity and liberty are welcome with open arms. But those who come here to subvert or replace the American experiment, the door swings both ways.
Assimilation is not a dirty word. Forget the Star Trek Borg reference. Here's assimilation means being invited to the cookout, playing by the same rules, thriving as Americans together.
Come here for opportunity, for freedom. Bring your recipes, your traditions, your family stories, but don't demand the rest of us live under the rules we never agreed to. Don't treat our Constitution as optional.
Because if we lose that, we lose America. That's not negotiable.
That's it for today. Hard topic, necessary talk. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Fact check us. Share your own stories. And as always,
Stay free.